Hello and welcome back to my channel. Thanks so much for popping by. And yes, I'm back again in a much more timely manner this time. And I intend to be from this point forward. Of course, things come up, but I just want to share everything that's been beneficial for me. And I also have realized, like I was mentioning in the last video, that of course I'm not perfect. I'm far from perfect. I'm on this journey, but I can share with you how I overcame my challenges, and then that could potentially assist you on your journey. And if you're watching this, or if YouTube showed you this video as one to watch and you felt uh, inspired or compelled to watch it, I have no doubt that there's something in it here for you. And so, yeah, today I wanted to talk about this fascinating realization I recently made. I've let it sink in for a few days, have marinated on it, but it's still so profound. So I'm going to be kind of talking through it with you here, and we can both see what we can learn from it. So my awakening process started in 2020, so it's been about 4 years, just over. And in this time, I've of course learned that I am creating my reality, and you are creating your reality, and everyone is creating their own reality. And so it's very important to be aware of our thoughts, our feelings, our belief systems. And in this becoming aware of my thoughts, I realize how often, and it has been slowly getting better, but how often I go into this catastrophic thinking, especially if, and I get faster and faster at catching it. But the weird thing was that I would still slip into this pattern. Like, for example, whenever I had a thought about something new to do, something I've never done before, say it's travel somewhere I've never traveled to before, the first thought would be catastrophic. You know, what if this happened? What if that happened? All these fearful thoughts. And then as soon as I catch it, I'm like, no. And then I start again, relay, relay over top that frequency. I put out a much better one. You know, what if something great happened? What if I had this amazing time, and all this kind of stuff. But what was for me really hard was that I kept going to that, the first thing. Like, even for something as simple as, oh, I'm meeting a friend at a restaurant I've never been to. What if this happens, you know, and then I realized, no, that's not how it is. I'm creating my reality. What if it's a wonderful time? What if I have the best visit ever? What if it's the best food ever? And so I learned to pivot quite quickly, but it still kept happening. And of course this is a pattern, but this one was like very deep, and deep program, deep fear-based belief. And I'm like, where is this coming from? Where is this catastrophic thinking coming from? Because I've learned that when we have a conflict within us, it's two parts within us that are attempting to achieve the same goal in drastically different ways. So I'm like, what's going on? So I got curious, and I went inside to a very much younger version of myself, you could say. So it's interesting. When we go inside, we often think of our higher self, but this was more like our, I guess you could call it the inner child, or um, the individual self. And so, of course, and also going off the last video, this was a subconscious kind of pattern that I always find myself in. And I got curious and I went inside and I thought, what? Or I asked, where is this from? And I got the desire to be loved. And I thought, what? How does that make any sense? And then I realized that I had been programmed from a very, very early age, maybe even before I was born, that how to get love was to be a victim. Victim self-pity. So in one of the 3D False Matrix programs videos, which is just a fancy way of saying a limited belief that's rooted in fear, I talk about this kind of similar thing, that people act like a victim because they'll get love from others. And the truth is, we're all connected to source, like an infinite supply of love. And I'm not talking about romantic love. I'm talking about like energy. And when I say love, I mean anything that feels good. So just being happy, joyful, gratitude, knowingness, trust, presence, all these, any good feeling emotion you could imagine, that's love. And love is energy. And so we're all connected. So as I think of it, it's like how, each house has a connection to the electricity, for example. But say you had a house connected to the electricity, but they didn't know how to turn it on. So imagine that every single human is connected to this electricity grid, but the majority of them don't know how to turn it on. So they're just going around, and they need to get this energy from somewhere because it's not coming in naturally. So how do they get it then? Well, then they have to get it from something outside of them. So how do you get energy from something outside of you? Well, you need to get its attention first. How do you get its attention? Well, there's two main ways. You can be self-pity and victim mode, which a lot of people do. This come out as complaining, or just talking about all the things going wrong in your life, or what you perceive are going wrong, because nothing is ever actually going wrong. Or the other side is the one who forces the attention out of others. And this is often, I believe, unconscious or subconscious, because they've been programmed to do that. So to be loud, obnoxious, swearing, hurling insults, picking fights, it's kind of like two extremes. We have the victim and then the one who's forcing attention, but they're both the same vibration of powerlessness. They don't have the power. They haven't turned on that tap. They haven't turned on the energy, so they have to get it from outside, powerless. So that's why one of these things that I feel so compelled to share is how that we're all connected, how we can turn on our own connection to source, to, you could call it the field, the divine, the universe, the source of infinite love within us. And of course, the main place I feel this is in my heart center, but also through my crown. a lot of energy comes in through there. But I feel the main tap is the heart. So is through the heart. So I realized it came down to this victim self-pity program of getting love. So I had this pattern running my entire life until this point that in order for me to get love, I needed to be a victim or helpless in some state to get the attention from someone else to give me the love. And what is profound is that how I see it now, we're all creators. We're all creating our reality, even if we don't know it. And so to be victim, you have to pretend to be victim. No one is actually a victim. Maybe in their mind, in their level of consciousness, they truly believe they are a victim, but that's a make-believe that they're a victim. And when they're putting out that vibration of victim, they attract the other powerless ones to take advantage of them and get victimized. And that happened to me my whole life. I have all sorts of horror stories that I'm not going to share this time of being victimized. And it sucked, and it really did. And I don't wish that upon anyone. And I'm so thankful to get out of it. But one of the ways I got out of it, and that's why I say that, because I know it sounds harsh to say to some, to say you can only pretend to be victim. But that's what's helped me, who was in victim mode my entire life, to get out of it. Why can you only pretend to be victim? Because you're the creator of your reality. And how does a victim view the world? Is that other people are guilty, because you can't be a victim unless others are guilty. So, and everyone's innocent, so to make someone guilty, you have to judge them. So now there's the judgment. So all of these kind of bad feeling, constricting emotions are all tied to this same illusion of fear. Because to have fear, in the first place, you have to believe at some level you are a victim or could be victimized. If you don't believe you could be victimized, if you truly believe you're the creator of your reality, you cannot have fear. So I was putting this together, and like I said, I'm talking through it with you right now. And I'm just like, wow, like there was a part of me inside that just wanted to be loved so bad that every situation, every new thing I thought of in my head, I would default to some situation where I was victimized so I can get love, not because I desired to make someone guilty. It came from the innocent desire to be loved. And so we can really, let everyone off the hook here, because we all have been programmed in all these different ways. And it's not to say the programmers are guilty, because we actually chose who we would be programmed by to receive those programs to do this journey. So everything is a choice we made. We truly are the creators. And if you say, oh, something happened to me and I definitely didn't make that choice, well, you did at some level. Maybe it was an unconscious choice, a subconscious choice. Maybe it was a higher part of you seeing an opportunity for growth. Regardless of what happened, at least some part of you had to give consent to go through whatever you went through in your life. Everything. So in this way, understanding this, knowing this, and you can feel if it resonates, you understand, wow, it's like I really am the creator. Everyone is innocent. I just attracted what I needed to attract to get me to the next level of my own consciousness. And I'm just going to have a sip of my delicious drink here. And at the end of the video, I'll let you know what was in the drink last time. That little intuitive challenge we did. So with this whole thing about catastrophic thinking, realizing that I was always imagining myself as a victim just so I would be loved, I went to that part of myself inside. You could call it that inner child, or that broken part of me, or whatever you want to call it. And I went to them and I said, thank you for always having my best interest at heart. My best interest being to be loved. And I said, thank you for, working so hard my entire life to make sure I would feel loved. And then I let them know that there's a better way, and that intellectually, consciously, we're already there. And we just have to bring that into every fiber of our being, every cell. And what that is that when we're the creator of our reality, we just turn on the tap, and then there's an infinite supply of love of the highest frequency that we can handle. And so that was the first thing, that we're connected to love. And that now that we know this, we know that we can actually feel more loved if we focus on creating the most positive thing. And why is that? Is when we're thinking positive thoughts, we feel good. And when we feel good, we're a higher frequency. So we're a match to other higher frequencies. So we will have a capacity for more energy, basically more love. So that in thinking positive and the best case scenario, and even saying a lot of times, like, this is the best thing I can imagine, but I surrender it to you because you can probably imagine something even better than this. So I would always say that, like, what wonderful thing's going to happen, what joyful thing's going to happen, what amazing thing that I couldn't even think of is going to happen. And to leave the door open, because you don't want to limit yourself in any way. And so letting that broken part of me know that when we're on this positive path, we actually will get more love than being a victim. Then I also let them know, in that victim state, not only are you in a low frequency, so you're disconnected from yourself, from your infinite tap, but you're also attracting these really not fun situations and other things operating at that level of frequency that are not going to make your life fun. Basically, you're attracting misery, miserable situations, to just reinforce that fear-based belief that you are a victim. So at that point, this part of me was like, aha, we don't want any of that. We don't want any more of that. We have dealt with far enough of that. And so at that point, I could tell that it was healed, that it knew that when we focus on the positive things, that is how we get more love now. It's not by being a victim. By being a victim, you can only get love from people who you get attention from. And then on the other side of that, it's not really helping them, because when someone hears of someone complaining and stuff, like, yeah, your heart goes out to them, but it kind of lowers your own frequency unless you're really tuned in and able to maintain your frequency around different people, which is a whole nother topic and challenge on its own, but also very doable, and I am living proof of that. So yeah, I just want to give you that encouragement. But yeah, I discovered this catastrophic thinking, at least for me, was tied to this desire to be a victim out of the need to get love. And the truth is, we are connected to a source of infinite love. We have so many guides and so many helpers around that infinitely love us. So many beings in the non-physical that love us infinitely, love us unconditionally. Then on top of that, every single human out there has a higher self that loves you unconditionally. And Mother Gaia, Earth, loves you unconditionally. So when you start opening yourself up to the truth of the reality, you realize you are loved unconditionally and infinitely by all of creation. So yeah, it's so beautiful. Makes me tear up kind of, but that's good. That's great. I love tears of joy, and so yeah, that was what I wanted to share with you today. Is just kind of my own realization, how I use that tool from the Irma about the stories creating, to go deeper, to find the root cause of so many effects in my life, so many ill effects. It affected my life greatly. And then even after my awakening, it was like this ongoing fight in my head, like catastrophic thought, then no, I have to think the positive thought to overlay it. And so it's just like so much energy went into that fight, that program, that pattern. And now it's liberated. And so my intention is that this video assists you in some way in liberating energy in your life, opening you up to more possibilities. And yes, so if you watched my last video and you took on this intuitive challenge to know what the hummingbird was, I don't know if you can see this, but it's coffee. So I love a nice cup of coffee, and yeah, the hummingbird is such like a fruity and floral coffee. Is so good. This one is a different one, but it's also really good. And yeah, I don't know which maybe other spiritual teachers you follow, but some of them, of course, will say, don't drink coffee, or and it's true, a lot of people drink coffee because they feel a lack of energy, but I truly drink coffee just for the pleasure of it. And And yeah, and there was a time in my life I drank it out of lack, but I drank a lot more, and I drank a lot poorer quality. And now I just have a little bit, the odd time of a high quality, and that makes me happy. And it's funny how I used to need to have coffee to do a task, and now I have coffee like once I'm done a task to relax, which doesn't make much sense, but hey, that's how I do it. And so just this little example is to, everyone is well meaning. They're all doing their best to assist you, whoever you're watching and learning from. But you choose for you. And what may be good for one person, or what may be right for one person, might not be right for another person. And what may be right for someone at one point of their life may not be right for them at another point of their life. So um, it's so subjective that you just have to do what feels good. And and yeah, I'll leave it at that. But yeah, I trust you found something useful in this video. I trust you'll have a beautiful day, and sending lots of love, joy, and harmony to you today on your journey. Thanks for watching, and I look forward to you in the next one. Bye-bye.